my Christmas in July project for Country Craft Creations. Before you get started, the cut list for this project is down below in the description box, so you can go ahead and grab that and get all your papers cut, and then join me in creating this beautiful album. So let's get started with page 1. So for page 1, you're going to need a piece that measures 9 3/4 by 5 3/4, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch on the 9 3/4 side. So we're going to attach this one all the way down to the bottom, and then you're going to need another piece that measures 4 3/8 by 5 3/4. So it's 5 3/4 wide by 4 3/8 tall, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch and then 3/4 inch. And then you're going to mark from the second score line, you're going to mark down 2 inches on both sides. And then you're going to find your center of our 5 3/4, which is 2 7/8. So we're going to cut from our mark here that we've made up to that 2 inch mark that we've made over here. So you're going to cut diagonally right across there, just like so. And then we're going to do the other side the same way. Alright, so now we've got that shape. So I've done the same thing with a piece of pattern paper, except with the pattern paper, it measures 5 1/2 by 3 1/4, and then I've marked it in. I found my center and did the mark, and then I've marked down 1 3/4 on both sides. So this was marked down 2 inches on both sides. I've only marked down 1 3/4, and then I cut from that point to my 1 3/4 mark on both sides. So it's done the exact same way, just with different measurements. So I'm just gonna erase these before I place my piece on there. Alright, so I'm just using my art glitter glue here. Alright, so we're just gonna place that on there, just like so, right in the center there. Alright, now that we've got that done, we can attach our piece down here. So we're just going to remove a bit of the backing, like so, and then I'm going to press this piece down so my 1/4 inch gusset is showing, and I'm going to line it up with the outer edge of my page, just like so. Alright, and then we can remove the rest of our backing and just press that on. I'm just gonna, yeah, that's good. Alright, so now we've got that piece attached, and now we're gonna open it up, and we're gonna attach the top piece here, and it's gonna go all the way to the top again, and then all the way out to the edge. So I'm just going to again remove a little bit of the backing. I'm going to press it down so that my 1/4 inch gusset is showing. And I'm just going to line it up to the top and to the outer corner. Right, now we'll just remove the rest of that backing. Give it a good press down. Alright, and then we can press back our gusset there, and then this piece will come up, and we will close that down just like that. All right, so now we're going to make our hole for our closure piece. So we're just gonna try to center it right with the point there. All right, so we've made that hole. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and attach our pattern paper down here. This piece measures 8 3/4 by 5 1/2. And we are just going to attach it right onto our piece here. Just like so. All right, and then we will close this flap up just so we're kind of able to see where we want our other hole to be. So I think I want it about right there. So I will make my other hole there. And now I have my circles here that I use the die to cut, and I actually cut them out of lightweight chipboard. And I poked a white brad through the circles, and they're 1-inch circles. And so I'm just putting them through the hole there, and I'll open it up at the back here, like so. And then we'll put the top one in. Alright, so we'll close that up, and we will attach the twine for the closure. So you just want to lift up your circle and bring it underneath, and then tie it on like so, and then we will do another knot like so, and then just trim that off, and then we'll just get some off of here. And close it up, and then get it underneath the top one here. And then we will just wrap it around, just like that. Really cute, really simple closure. So let's unwrap that, and then we are going to add our waterfall pieces inside of here. So the waterfall pieces measure 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch on the 4 3/4 side, and you're going to need 8 of them. And I'm using the 65-pound weight paper for my waterfalls throughout the book. So we're just going to align the waterfall with the front page here. So I'm going to attach my first one, and I can just align it with the line from my flap of the page. So just go ahead and line it up with that. The first one's always the most important. I know I always say that, but it does not get less true. Alright, so now that we've got it straight, we will remove the rest of our backing. And then we will go ahead and attach the next one. And just go ahead and line it up with your first one. And then just remove the backing. And I will just do the rest. Alright, so I've got all my waterfall pieces on, all 8 of them. So now I'm going to do the closure piece. And the closure piece measures 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And on the 8 1/4 inch side, you're going to score 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to remove that backing. And I'm just going to put it, so just right above that. Just like so. And try to center it for the most part. And then I'm just going to attach a magnet to close it up. And that is page 1 finished. So we will just wrap it up. Alright, and I will just trim this off, and then our page 1 is done. Alright, so now let's move on to page 2. So page 2 has our stacked pocket. So we have 3 pockets on this page. Alright, so our first pocket, which is our largest one, measures 6 3/4 by 8 1/4, and on the 6 3/4 side you're going to score 1/2 inch on each side. And we are going to need our envelope punch board for these pockets. So you're going to close in your flaps on the sides like this, and you're going to line it up at 1 1/2. Right there at 1 1/2, and we are going to punch, and then you're going to flip it, line it up at 1 1/2, and punch. Alright, and then I'm just going to use a plate here from one of my cutting machines. And I've got a metal ruler. I'm just going to open this up, and I'm going to line up my ruler with the bottoms of my, where we punched there, and I've got my Fiskars Kraft knife here, and I am just going to cut that part off. You could use a scissor with this. You could like mark it first with a pencil, and then just use a scissor. That would work up just fine as well. And if you've got any little spots that are connected or anything like that, you can just give them a nice trim. And for your pattern paper, you're going to do the same thing, except you're going to line your pattern paper up at 1 1/4 on both sides. So line it up 1 1/4, line it up 1 1/4, and then cut out that section the same way we did on here. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and attach this first largest pocket. Alright, so we're just going to attach it all the way to the bottom and all the way to the outer corner. And I do have a piece of 1/4 inch score tape at the bottom. So we're just going to remove a bit of our backing here, and then we will line up the bottom just like so, and then once you kind of have it where you want it, you can press down there and then remove the rest of your backing like so, and then we can open it up and remove this backing and this backing, and then just smooth it down, just like so, and then just give it all a good burnish. All right, so now we're going to attach our second pocket right on top, and our second pocket measures 6 1/4 by 6 3/4, so it's 6 1/4 tall by 6 3/4 wide, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch on each side. And again, I've attached the 1/4 inch score tape on the bottom there, and I forgot to attach score tape to this one on the sides. And you're going to repeat the same process. You're going to punch in with the envelope punch board at 1.5 inches on both sides, and then cut out that center. So I'm again going to remove a little bit of this backing here, and then line it up on right on top of the pocket that we just put on there. All right, so just line it up right on top of that one. Make sure go all the way to the bottom. All right, and then we can remove the rest of that backing and press it on there. All right, and then remove that 1/4 inch at the bottom and this side as well. And again, we will just smooth it right on top of that, just like so. All right, and then our final pocket is our littlest guy, and this one measures 3 1/8 by 6 3/4, so 3 1/8 tall by 6 3/4, and again we have punched in at 1.5 on both sides and cut that center out. So we will just remove that backing, and then place it on where we want it, right on top of our other pocket, and then remove the backing from the bottom and from this side over here, and then just smooth it down. Just like so. All right, now we can go and add our pattern papers in. Alright, so you do not need the full length of the bottom pocket because you're not going to be seeing it. It's just a waste of paper. So this piece just measures 4 inches by 5.5. And then we measured in 1 1/4 on both sides, right? And then punched it, and then we cut out that center. All right, and then the next piece also measures 5.5, and this one is by 4.5. And same thing, just mark in your 1 1/4 on both sides. And then just place it on just like that. And then the final one measures 2 7/8 by 5.5. And we just did the same thing again as before. All right, so that goes on there like that. So that is page 1 and page 2 finished. So now let's go over here and work on page 3. Alright, so page 3 has our mechanism that folds out and in and all the places. So you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 10 1/4 by 5 3/4, so 10 3/4 long by 5 3/4 wide, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch and then at 5 3/8. You're going to need 2 of those. Alright, so your little flap is going to attach to the top and to the bottom. So there'll be one attached up here and then one attached at the bottom. Alright, so we need to line it up all the way to this corner and all the way to the top. And you're going to fold it up like this. Alright, so we're just going to take off a bit of our backing and line it up all the way to the corner and all the way down the side here, just like so. And then once you have it where you want it, you can go ahead and remove the rest of your backing there, just like that. Alright, perfect. So now we need to attach our little doors that go on either side. So you need, for each mechanism, you need 2 that measure 3 3/8 by 4 7/8. So 3 3/8 wide by 4 7/8 tall. And you're going to score 1/2 inch on 2 sides. So on one side here and then on the other side on the other piece. Alright. And you are going to need cut 4 of those for your other side there. And we're just going to line it up all the way to this side of our page. Alright, so now we can remove the rest of that backing, press it down, and then we will put on our second one here. So again, just remove a bit of your backing, and this time we're just going to line it up to this one here and then just bring it down and remove that backing and press it down. So now we've got the piece that folds back like this, and then it also has this opening and this opening here. Alright, so now I've already prepared the other piece. I've done everything we need to, and I'll show you how to do this after we attach this one down here. Alright, so it's going to just attach down here, and they're just going to meet in the middle just like that. So we can just take off a little bit of our backing again and fold it out. Alright, and I'm just going to line it up again to the outer edge of the page, but since we already have the other one there now, we can basically just line it up to the other one. Like so. Alright, now I can remove that backing. Give it a good press down. Just like that. And close it up. So now this one will flip back and this piece comes out, and then you can see what's inside there. Alright, so let's put these pieces up here now. So you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 2 5/8 by 4 5/8, and I'm just using Kraft cardstock. You can use pattern paper. I'm just trying to save some of my pattern paper. Alright, just attach it right there, and then we'll attach the other side. Right in there. Alright, so now I've got 2 pieces of black cardstock that measure 2 1/2 by 1 1/2, and on the 2 1/2 inch side you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides, and you need 2 of those, technically 4 for both pieces, and I'm just going to use my wet glue to attach them. And I am just going to attach them so that the openings are going this way. And I'm just kind of guessing where to put them here, like that. You can measure. I don't feel the need to measure. And then I'm going to take my second one and add the glue on the back of that one. And I'm going to hold my piece down and I'm going to try and line it up for the most part. Just like so. And then before it's all the way dry, I'm going to take my piece and push it through there. Make sure it lines up well. And it does. So that's perfect. And now I've got 2 pieces of paper that measure 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. And I'm just going to put them right on top there. Just like so. Alright, for the latch, I've got a piece of lightweight chipboard here that measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I've got a piece of pattern paper that measures 1 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to attach it right there to my piece of lightweight chipboard. And I'm using the lightweight chipboard just because I find that it holds better than just cardstock, and it is holding together quite a weighty little mechanism here. Alright, and then that's just going to slide right through there, just like so. So now I'm going to put a magnet here so that it attaches there, and I'm going to put a magnet here so that it attaches there, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Alright, so I've attached my magnets. So I've attached a set here and a set there, and then a set there, and then a set under here. So I'll just cover that up with paper, but this page is done. So now we can work on page 4, and page 4 has 2 flaps, and one flap is going to go all the way down into this corner here, and the other one's going to go all the way up to the top corner there. So the flaps measure 8 1/2 by 5 3/4, and you're going to score 1/2 inch on the 5 3/4 side. So I'm just going to remove a bit of my backing, and I'm going to line it up with this bottom corner here, just like so. Alright, now we can remove the rest of that backing. Sometimes it's stubborn. Alright, and then just smooth that down, just like so. Alright, so now we can put on our second one over here, and it's going to go all the way to the top corner. And we will line it up just past our score line there from our hinge. So just slightly before it, all the way to the top. We can remove the rest of that backing and just give it a good press down right there. And then these are going to be closed with a magnet. And this front flap here has a pocket, and the pocket measures 6 1/4 by 5, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch on each side of the 6 1/4 inch side, and it's just going to go all the way to the bottom of this here flap. I'm just going to remove a bit of the backing again. Line it up to the bottom corner of our flap. And then we can just remove the rest of our backing. And then remove our little 1/4 inch strip at the bottom. And then just smooth it down, just like so. And I will just add a magnet here for the closure there. Right, so let's move on to page 5. Alright, so for page 5, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 10 3/4 by 5 3/4, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch on both sides and at 5 3/8 in the middle. And you're going to need 2 pieces just like that. So they are going to go on with the closed side being on the outside, top and bottom. So just like this is how they're going to attach to the page. So I'm just going to remove one of my backings, the one that's going down towards my page, and I'm just going to turn the book to the side because it's easier for me to see, and I'm going to line it up all the way to the top and all the way to the outside of my page. And then once I have it where I want it, I will press down this hinge in here. Alright, now we can just press that down there. Okay, and then we are going to attach the other one the same way. So just remove the backing from the hinge that's going down towards the page and line it up to the bottom of your page. And once you have it where you want it, give it a good press down, just like that. So your page should look like this at this point. So now you're going to bring in both of your edges, and we are just going to grab our score tool and just burnish everything down so that it's nice and as flat as we can get it. Alright, so now we are going to remove one of the backings off of one of our little flaps, and you're going to take a piece of cardstock that measures 9 3/8 by 5 3/4, and you're not going to do anything to it. It's the same size as our page. So I'm just lining it up to the bottom here and making sure I keep it straight, and then I am just going to smooth it onto my page here. And then I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to take off the tape off of the flap that still has the tape on it. And then I'm just going to smooth it back down, just like so. Alright, so now your page is going to open like this and like that. And I'm just going to use some magnets to close those pieces up. Alright, so now that we've got our mechanism done, we can add our flaps at the top here. So I've got 3 flaps that measure 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I've scored them all at 1/2 inch on one side of the 6 3/4 inch side. And we're going to have 2 going this direction and 1 going this direction here. So let's attach the 2 over here first, and we're going to attach 1 all the way to the top and all the way to the side, and then 1 all the way to the bottom and all the way to the side. Alright, and then we'll just remove the rest of that adhesive. Alright, and then we'll attach another one down here, all the way to the bottom and all the way to the side. Alright, and our final one's going to go over here, and we're going to try to center it with the gap from these 2. So just about right there. Alright, and then these 2 are going to come in, and this is going to have a magnet, and it's going to be what closes them. So now let's work on page 6. So page 6 has our belly band and a double pocket on top of the belly band. So the belly band measures 6 3/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm just centering it onto my page. Just gonna center it top and bottom, and then just smooth it on there. And then we will take off the backing of our other side and just press it down onto our page. So for the double pocket that goes on top of our belly band, the piece measures 6 3/4 by 3, and on the 6 3/4 side you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides, and then a 3 3/8 in the middle. And then where I've scored, the only real purpose it serves is for me to know where the center is, to add my 1/4 inch tape in the middle, and then I've also added it along the bottoms. And until I add my pattern paper down into there, I'm only going to remove about, just so that there's about 1 inch left up here, just so I can still stick my pattern paper in behind when I go to mat, and then I can remove the rest of that. Alright, so I'm just going to remove one side of my backing for now and line it up all the way to the bottom of my belly band, just like so. And then I can remove my 1/4 inch down here. And I can remove the rest over here. And then just press that on there, just like so. All right, and then once I've got my pattern paper in here, like right now it's still able to stick back here. So once I've got my pattern paper in here, then I can remove the rest of that tape. All right, so let's work on our back inside cover. So our back inside cover is going to have 2 pieces that measure 4 1/8 by 9 3/4, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 inch on the 4 1/8 side, and you're going to need 2 pieces like that. All right, so we're going to attach this outer piece here first, and we're going to attach it so that we're leaving about 1/4 inch on the sides and the top and bottom. So just remove a bit of your backing, and then you can press it down so that your 1/4 inch gusset is showing. Just makes it a little bit easier to attach it. All right, so then once you have it where you want it, we can go ahead and remove the rest of our backing. Give it a good press down. And then you can go ahead and reinforce that 1/4 inch gusset there. And then for this one, we're just gonna line it up with this one here and attach it down. All right, and then you can lift up and reinforce that gusset as well. All right, now we can open it up. All right, so now I've got 2 flaps that measure 6 5/8 by 7 3/8. On the 7 3/8 side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and then at 5/8 inch, and it's just going to give you this little 1/8 gusset. And we're just going to line these up centered between our 2 score lines here, these 2 inside score lines, and we're going to line them up with the bottoms of these 2 flaps. So I've got 2 identical flaps that are going to come from the top and the bottom. So we'll just remove a little bit of the backing of our tape. And again, we can press up to expose that gusset, just so we're not gluing it down. And you're just going to align with the bottom, with this bottom here, and center it between those 2 score lines. All right, so now we can remove the rest of that backing. Just press it down, and then we can just press back to reinforce our little gusset. Close it up so we know that we're on the right track. And then you're going to just attach the top one in the same way there. All right, so now we've attached that top flap, and they're just going to close in like this. All right, so inside here we have a double waterfall, but we need to put our pattern paper down before we can add our waterfall. So this piece measures 9 1/4 by 6 3/4, and it's just going to nestle in really nicely in here. So we're just going to center it right in there, being really careful not to go over any of our score lines. Important to double check everything always still closes. Perfect. Alright. So now we can add in our waterfall pieces. So we're going to have one waterfall that comes down this way and one that comes down this way. And these pieces measure 4 3/4 by 4 1/4, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 4 3/4 inch side, and you're going to need 6 pieces. And I'm kind of just guessing where I want them here. Alright, so that looks good there. Alright, so I'm going to get my next one, and I'm going to attach it right underneath. But before I remove all of my backing, I want to close this one down. Make sure it lines up, because sometimes we think we're going straight and we're not. So just remove that backing and then close it back down, and that's looking really good. So I'm just going to show you where this one's going to go over here, and then I'll get the rest done. Alright, so it's going to kind of go in the same, about 1/4 inch from each side. Just like so. And remove the backing. Alright, so I've got my 3 little waterfalls on each side, and then just open up like that. And now I'm just going to add my little closure pieces, and they're just going to go right about there, and they measure 5 inches by 1 1/2, and I've scored it 1/2 inch on the 5 inch side. I'm just going to place it right there about, and the other one is the same. And it's just going to go right about there. And then I'm just going to do a magnetic closure for them. And then that finishes up the inside of the inside back. And now we are going to add our closure for our little gatefold piece here. Attach 2 pieces of Kraft cardstock that measure 3 1/4 by 9 1/2. And I've got 2 pieces for our little latch, and they measure 5 1/2 by 1 1/2, and then I scored at 1/2 inch on each side. And the pattern paper measures 4 1/4 by 1 1/4, and I've just already attached it. So now we're just going to add some glue to our little hinge pieces. And we're just going to do the same thing we did before on our other little latches. Just try to center it for the most part, just like so. Alright, and we'll take our next one and do the same thing. It's getting to be nighttime here, so there's some shadows. Alright, and then we're just gonna bring it over here and try to get it right aligned with our other one. And then we're just going to quickly grab our latch piece. Yeah, that looks good there. Just popped up a bit. Alright, so now I've got a piece of the lightweight chipboard again here that measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then I've got one of the cut aparts from the collection that measures 4 by 6. And then this is just gonna go through there. And it is going to be what closes up the back of our book here. So I am going to go through and just mat it and add some of our pretty pattern paper, and then you will see the finished book in the walkthrough. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I really enjoyed making this book, and I can't wait for you guys to see it all finished. Thank you so much for joining me, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll see you soon.